Hi, Chris from GoVacuum.com. Earlier we showed you how to change a belt on a Kirby. Today what I want to show you is how to change the fan on a Kirby. The fan is a little bit more difficult to repair. The fan sits inside of it. You have to take the Kirby more apart to get to that fan. But there's a telltale sign that your fan has gone bad, and that's if you turn your Kirby on and it really is making a very loud noise. A lot louder noise than normal. That indicates that your fan has broken. Okay, so the first thing that you want to do to remove your fan would be to take off the bag. Is going to be your first step. So you push the button in the back, twist the bag boot so it goes to the unlock setting there, just like that. Okay, and you just want to get it down as far down as possible. So now what you can do is also remove your handle, which you can push your handle here, which will take your handle off, and you can set that aside. Now you're working with just the machine here. Now what you'll want to do is you'll want to open, and you'll want to move this belt on position to the belt off position since you're taking it off. So you just rotate it to the belt off position, and then you turn your latch, which releases the whole front agitator housing. Okay, now you can get in here and see that your fan, and a lot of the times you can see where it's broken. You'll see a chip in it. You'll see that part of the fan is missing, but you can get in here and see the fan. Now to actually get in here and to change it, you're going to have to remove some screws in order to take this off. Now let me just say this is a Generation 3 that we're working on here, but really this is going to be the same repair for the Generation 3, the Generation 4, all the way up to the Centuria. They really haven't changed the design on this. Okay, so the first screws that you're going to want to remove, you're going to want to remove your two side housings here, and they're held on by two screws here on the front. So simply remove the two screws on the front there. And your two screws. Actually, I'm sorry, on the Generation 3, what you also want to remove is going to be your cord. Your cord is actually tied down to here, so you just want to remove this little screw here, which removes the cord from underneath of that. There's one also screw here that holds this knob, the handle holder knob. You'll just need to remove that one screw to remove your handle, and then your little screw. Okay, and then also to take the plastic guard off, just take a flathead screwdriver into this hole here and pop it right off. And you can see that this will now come off. There's one final screw here in the back, the circular screw that you just removed there. Now that we've taken this screw off, this entire plastic housing here comes off as well. Now, we have already removed the two screws in the front here. We need to take the screws off in the back here. You'll see there's two screws that are holding this whole piece on. Two screws right here need to be removed. Okay, and now your housing can be taken off. Okay, and now you've seen into the guts of your Kirby. And basically there's just a couple of parts to your Kirby. This is the transmission assembly here with the neutral and drive switch. The motor is in the front here. And then your fan is in the front here. In order to change just the fan, we won't move any of these parts here. We'll just need to access the front of it here. You see that now after I took off your front housing, the front housing normally sits here. There are two screws that are hidden underneath of that housing that will now need to be removed. And there are also 3 other screws that hold this whole front housing on here. One that sits in, that holds the switch into place, and then 2 more that hold the lower housing on. So you just remove these screws, and you can tell the difference between the screws. The screw that goes into the switch is actually a flat head, where all the other screws have rounded heads to them. So when you put it back together, that's one easy way to tell which is the switch screw, is it has a flat head to it. But simply, also the screws that go through on the top are going to be shorter. I'm sorry, the screws that go through on the top are going to be longer. The screws that are on the bottom are lower, are shorter. So you have the long screws for the top, the short screws for the bottom. There's one more short screw here. Simply remove that. And now all you'll need is a flathead screwdriver. And the flathead screwdriver, all you'll need to do is just push this back here and then pry that off. Some of them will still have a little glue here, so it might just take, while this is on here, if this is still on and it's difficult, you can see back here there's just a little tiny spot where you can fit a flathead screwdriver in and just pry it off. And just pry it off until it comes off just like that. Okay, and now you can see you have direct access to your fan. And this fan is not broken, but we'll go ahead and take it off to show you how to take off the fan. Alright, so now I'm going to show you how to get this fan off of the spindle in order to take the fan off and replace it. Sometimes this fan can be very tight after years of use to the spindle, so I'm going to show you a trick on how to get this out very easily. What you want to do is you'll see on the spindle that there's a hole. The hole goes through the entire spindle. What we found here is just a little wrench that goes through that. And then at this point, all you want to do is you want to hold the fan with one hand or thumb, and then just tap down on either your nail or whatever you put through that hole, and you can see then that it loosens that spindle, and now you can unscrew that spindle very easily. And it's a reverse thread, so it turns it to the right to get it off. And then all you'll need to do is just take your fan off. There is a washer that it goes between the spindle and the fan, and sometimes the fan can be difficult as well, so either you can take a pair of pliers and just kind of pull the fan off, just like that. We're just going to put a new fan on the machine just to show you here. When you buy the fan, you get the kit actually, and the kit, see, is part number 119096S, and that fits all Kirby generation models. And what you get with that is you get the fan itself, you get a new washer, you also get a new spacer that sits between. A lot of the times, the spacer which sits behind the fan here is okay and really doesn't need to be replaced. But since we have it out and they give it to you, you might as well just go ahead and replace that. To get that spacer out, you just kind of push a screwdriver behind it. And then your old spindle comes off, and you can see that that rubber seal there has deteriorated pretty badly. So on the new one, you just want to put the new rubber seal around the spacer there, and you can just slide the spacer right back into there and seat it down on there. And then what you'll want to do, put your new fan over the spacer, put the spacer on first, then put the fan over top of the spacer, and then you'll also want to remember to put the washer back over top of the fan. Okay, now it's time to put the new spindle on.